surface of the Earth to the surface of the Moon. Neil Armstrong hears the question, response takes another 1.5 seconds for it to travel from the Moon back to the Earth. So round trip conversation with someone on the Moon takes 3 seconds. Okay. Now, someone say at Mars, if Mars is on the same side of the Sun, because remember everything's going around the Sun. Sometimes we're on the same side, sometimes on the opposite side. If we're on the same side, at the closest, and we send a signal to Mars, it takes 3 minutes. For it to come back, another 3 minutes. So round trip conversation when we're closest takes 6 minutes. If we're on the opposite side, the furthest point, it takes 22 minutes, one signal, one way. So round trip in more than 40 minutes. What that means is, if we're on the furthest point, I tell the rover, hey rover, move forward 10 meters, study that rock in front of you. I could send a signal right now, it would take 20 minutes for it to go to Mars. It would hear the signal, it would start moving to the rock, and then send a signal back saying, okay, I'm moving to the rock. By the time I get the signal back, it's 40 minutes later. So I don't even know what it did for 40 minutes, right? And that's why these spacecraft have to be able to operate on their own. Because if we told that rover, go move forward, and then there's a ditch there, we didn't see it, it would have driven right into the ditch, right? So that's why these rovers, they're semi-autonomous. They can drive by themselves. They can navigate themselves. They can see obstacles on their own, and they can avoid those obstacles on their own. We don't actually have to remote control it, because if we tried to remote control it, it would be impossible to actually do. Okay? Yeah. Hopefully that answered the question. Yes. Do you have a question as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
does MRO actually serve as an intermediary between Spirit and Curiosity?
That's a great question. So, MRO, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, do we use it as a communication intermediary for our rovers? And that's exactly what we do. The rovers on the surface, they do have antennas that we could talk directly to them. But being on the surface, it's harder for us to see them on a regular basis because they're on the surface of the planet. The orbiting spacecraft are orbiting, so they're a lot more visible, and they're visible for longer periods of the day because they're actually orbiting. So what we do is we use the orbiting spacecraft like communication satellites. All the commands we have for the rover, we actually send it to the MRO.